back. We are back with another episode of the Inside Voice podcast. It feels like we haven't done this in a minute. It feels like we have not spoken since last year. You knew that was coming, right? I gotta be honest with you, that is one that I use on the radio. I am that person. And there's like a strategy behind it. One, like I just enjoy cheesy things like that. But also, you know, it's one of those things that it's either going to make you smile or make you kind of chuckle and roll your eyes like, oh, she's so silly. That's so cliche. I can't believe she said that. Or it's going to make you say, wow, that is probably one of the dumbest things that I've ever heard. So I'm going to keep listening to see if she says anything else dumb. You see how that's like a win-win? Either way, you're going to listen. That's what we want in radio, right? Thank you for kicking off your year with me. I hope that you enjoyed, our season's greetings series that we did in December, just kind of taking a look at the messaging around us during the holidays and really trying to apply those things that we're seeing into our life in a tangible way and hopefully cultivate those things and use them to our advantage in a time of year that is not the holidays. We looked at cheer and joy and love and peace and hope. And we ended on hope mostly because it's just what we're all feeling right now, isn't it? There's a hopeful expectation. There is an excitement in the air anytime a new year comes around. And really, I think it comes regardless of the way your year went. I mean, you probably feel this way because the year was great, like you had a lot of wins, you accomplished goals, you had an enjoyable time, like it didn't feel like everywhere you turned there was just something else that was going wrong. It just felt like a good year. And now you want to build on that. You want to continue to grow with that. You want to see more good things happen in your life. And so it was really easy for you to scribble out some resolutions because it just felt like a continuation of all the great things that happened last year. Or you could be on the other side of it where it was like, man, 2025 can go play in traffic. Like I hated 2025. It was not fun for me. There were things that went wrong at every turn. This happened, that happened. My life got turned upside down. Like maybe it just wasn't the year that you wanted. Maybe it was a year that just didn't feel fruitful for you. It was like, man, I really set those resolutions with the best of intentions, and it just seems like nothing came to fruition. That's okay too. You can still feel hopeful about this new year, and you might feel hopeful about 2026 thinking this year is going to be better. I'm not going to allow the same things to happen, or I'm not going to react the way that I did to the things that happened in 2025 again in 2026. It can only go up from here. You know what I mean? Like whatever camp you're coming from, there is a feeling of hope surrounding January. And I know that we're already a couple of days in. I'm already feeling like the year is flying by. That's just kind of the way that I operate. Time, it never feels like there's enough. And it always feels like, like life is slipping away. But there is such excitement about this year. And I really do. I know this sounds cheesy, but thank you for being here and being a part of this podcast. I'll be honest with you. When I sat down and looked at last year, like this time last year, looking ahead to the year, I didn't have a lot on my list. There were certain things that I was like, I want to do this because it feels like it will feed a part of my soul. There was a fitness, nutrition, and health aspect that I wanted to accomplish last year, which I did. Side note, I did my first cut when it came to nutrition and was able to get myself to a place with my body that I wanted, but I didn't know was possible for me. So in that sense, it was a successful year for me. But I got to tell you, like after that, I don't think that there was really anything else that I was like, let's go make it happen. It's been a while since I've had a year like that. If you know a little bit of the history of the podcast, it started in 2020. I lost my mom in 2021. I soldiered on and powered through and continued to do the podcast until 2023, and then just stepped away from it, like whatever that word is, unceremoniously. Why did I pick that word? Oh, that's a tough word. But just, it was unexpected. I quit. I just straight up quit and put myself in therapy in 2024. So when 2025 came around, I didn't know it at the time, but reflecting on it, I needed to find myself again because I'd completely lost myself. And I'll be very transparent with you. Bringing back the podcast was not on my radar. It was not on my 2025 bingo card. It was not on my life card. I had convinced myself that this podcast, that sitting down and talking with you week after week after week, was not for me. It was not in the cards. It was a failure, and it was never going to be anything beyond just, oh, that was something Jess tried, and I don't know, she doesn't do it anymore. You know what I mean? God told me to bring it back, and I just ripped that Band-Aid off. I played around with like different dates of bringing it back, different months of bringing it back, even said, well, maybe 2026. I just said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And so it came back in June, and that was like a big shift in my year. And I am so grateful that you have decided to, either jump back on the train with me if you were a part of the first couple of seasons or the first, chapter, or you're jumping in for the first time. Like, it just, thank you. Thank you. All that to say, I want you to look at this year as kind of just fluid. Sometimes I think when the new year comes around, we get so incredibly like rigid and militant about how the year is going to go. We're like, this is going to happen. I'm going to accomplish this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be this completely different person by the time I get to December 31st, 2026. And it is going to be amazing. There's a couple of problems with that. One is that you don't know exactly what this year is going to bring. Maybe you saw that this past year with hardships that came your way. Maybe you saw that this past year with good things that came your way. Like for me with this podcast, it was a pivot. It was an adjustment for me. But it's been so good, and it's been an unexpected gift that I was not at all looking for in 2025. What I want to talk about this week and what I want to talk about today is resolutions, but not in the way that you think. It's not us saying, okay, what are we going to do this year? Who are we going to be? What are we going to accomplish? What's your big three? Any of that. We'll get there. But I'm going to tell you right now, take that resolution list. You can hold it up right now. You can pull it up on your phone. Throw it away. Seriously, just throw it away. Delete it off of your phone. Throw it away completely. Crumple it up. Light it on fire. Do whatever. Tear it up. Get rid of the resolution list. Don't start a resolution list. Don't set a single goal for yourself this year until you figure out who the heck you are. Okay? I don't want you buying anything for your resolutions. I don't want you looking at a calendar for your resolutions, getting a productivity planner, which I actually bought for myself and I'm ready to dive into it. But don't do a single thing. Don't put a single ounce of pressure on yourself to achieve a goal until you get to a steady foundation. Okay? This is something that I have learned in my life. I mean, I look at myself as a kid, like I have always struggled trying to figure out who the heck that I am. And I'll tell you right now, that shiny resolution list that you've put together for yourself, that you scribbled out, December 31st, that you scribbled out on January 1st, like that's going to be completely useless to you if you don't have a steady, strong foundation. Because I'm willing to bet when you woke up on January 1st, whether you were hungover or not, whether you were up before the sun or not, you did not wake up a different person. You woke up the same person that you were on December 31st, and the day before that, and the day before that, and the day before that. And that person could be who you truly are, or it could be somebody that you have become that is not entirely authentic to yourself. I mentioned when I was a kid, I struggled trying to figure out who exactly I was. A lot of that is because I'm a 3 on the Enneagram. I achieve, and, when it comes to being a 3 on the Enneagram, like you're like a chameleon. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of shape shift a little bit. You can fit in with any crowd. There's pros and cons to that. It is great to fit into crowds. It is great to be agreeable and pleasant with people and not rock the boat everywhere you go. There's something wonderful to be said about like, oh, I walk into a room and I bring like this level of peace because like nobody's gonna be like, oh wow, she upset a lot of people the last time that she was in this room. You know what I mean? But there's also a lot of cons because I don't go deep with people a lot. And certainly not immediately. And I struggle really understanding who to bring into the room because I never really got comfortable with myself. So as a kid, I found a lot of who I was based on achievement. I found a lot, I put too much emphasis on figuring out who I was or identifying myself based on what I was achieving. And don't get me wrong, like I achieved when I was a kid. You know, I got good grades, I played the sports, I was on student body, I did yearbook, I was in youth group, I was, mentoring and counseling middle schoolers when I was in high school. Like I was doing all of these things that when you look at it on a resume, you're like, yeah, she got it, like she's doing great. But I didn't necessarily know exactly who I was. I was doing those things because I thought, oh, this is what I should be doing. And if maybe I'm good at these things, or maybe I apply myself in these things, maybe if I'm well-rounded, more people will like me. And I'll be honest with you, I've shared with you before that I didn't have the best relationship with my mom growing up. And she wasn't the type of person that just always said, I love you or I'm proud of you. It was my memories of it, my experience of it is that those were rare moments. And so I think learning this in therapy, there was a part of me that I felt like if I did all those things and I was good at all those things, then maybe it would be easier for her to express those emotions to me. You know what I mean? And as I've gotten older and I've grown into adulthood, like not having that firm foundation of understanding what makes me tick, really it allowed me to push into more things. Like I still had that achiever mindset, like set the goals, do the things, get out there and do it. But I never really understood why I was doing those things. I wanted to play softball in college and didn't make the team. And that was like an identity crisis for me because I played softball like my entire life. And then it was like, okay, well, now I found this major of journalism and film and I'm going to do radio. But I never really understood like, why am I doing radio? It wasn't because I had this big passion of like, oh man, I want to invest in people, or I really love country music and I just want to talk about it all the time. It was just kind of like, oh, this is something I enjoy and like maybe I can, get a little notoriety and people can think that I'm something because I'm on the radio. You know what I mean? It really hasn't been until like the last couple of years, and especially 2025, that I've learned why this is all a thing. I've learned like the purpose. I've shared with you before that when my mom passed, I went through this phase of, oh man, what's the point? And it wasn't because I was in a dark place. It was just like, why are we here? What are we supposed to be doing with our lives? And it was a chance for me to kind of figure out my identity and who I am and build that foundation. And it's that understanding of yourself that allows you to build like this ironclad mindset that will move you forward in anything that you're trying to do in life. And that's why it's so incredibly important to not just make another to-do list, not make another like, oh, okay, here we go. We're just going to hope that these goals work this year, because I wrote them down. We have to get to a point where we understand who the heck we are and what really matters to us in life and how we're going to show up for ourselves. And ultimately, how are we going to be successful in the things that we are trying to accomplish? If I can be candid with you again, I'd like to share a little bit about my fitness journey, which started in 2020. I think a lot of us were starting things in 2020 because we didn't know what else to do. It was the only way we kind of felt like, oh, I have some control over the chaos that's happening in the world. It has been a couple of years process of figuring out what works for me, what I enjoy, how I'm successful, what I'm successful in. But really, it did not click until last year when I started figuring out, okay, this is bigger than just what I look like on the outside. This is my health. This is my longevity. This is my way, another extension of worshiping God, because he gave me this body and this body moves, and I'm going to move it in worship and adoration for the gift that he's given me. Like, this body is a gift and I will steward it well, changing that mindset, but also changing the mindset of like, I am somebody that likes a challenge. I am somebody who wants to feel like an athlete. And so tapping into that part of my DNA made me more successful in the gym and made me understand like, okay, this is bigger than just the movement aspect. I also have to eat well and eat in a way that's going to support what I'm doing in the gym. So it was like this, once I figured out what makes me tick and why I want to do this in the first place and who I am and how I operate, suddenly I found more success in the goal that I had set for myself. It also made it easier for me in the times where I wasn't successful to find a way to be successful. It helped me when, because I got to be honest with you, like when you're pushing after a goal, when you're trying to achieve something, sometimes you don't want to be honest with yourself because you don't want to give yourself a bad grade. It's hard to say like, ooh, okay, that meal that I ate was probably a D minus, or, oh man, I had a weekend where I ate anything and everything in sight. That probably wasn't a good thing. Oh, I had a night where I had too much to drink, or, that workout I really didn't give my all in, or, ooh, I actually, I was supposed to do cardio today and I didn't. And I pretended that just walking around my house was good enough. Like, it's easier for you to be honest with yourself when you understand yourself. Because you know your weaknesses, you know your pitfalls, you know where your excuses are going to come from, and you can work with yourself. No longer are you judging yourself because you know yourself on a deep, authentic level. And I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to those resolutions, if you don't know yourself authentically, you will not find success. And if you do find success, it ain't going to last, okay? It will be something that falls apart because, again, it's on a shaky, rocky foundation. And that's what this podcast is all about. This podcast is about figuring out who you are. I've seen too many people in my life, and I have experienced this myself. Too often, we go through life living somebody else's life, living what we think we should be doing, living what expectations have been put on ourselves. Like we miss out on a truly fulfilled life because we haven't gotten to know who we are on the inside, and we haven't let that person out either. This can come in many forms. It can come from being told who you were as a kid, told what you were capable or not capable of as a child, and it's just kind of stuck with you. This can come from, maybe something that someone spoke over you in a relationship. Maybe somebody really cut you down and hurt you deep, and it was somebody that you were incredibly vulnerable with or intimate with, or somebody that you allowed in, and now they're speaking these terrible things over you and making assumptions about you that are not true, but you chose to believe them. Or you molded yourself, like I've done so much in my life, to be what you thought was going to get you the results you wanted. Whether it was love or appreciation or somebody being proud of you, or, getting the job that you want, or achieving what you think you're supposed to be achieving. Like, we can make ourselves so malleable that we just become goo, like there's no structure to us at all anymore. And it's no wonder that we find ourselves getting triggered because this happened, or throwing our hands up and quitting because this happened, or not really understanding or standing up for what we believe in or what we value and treasure because we're just so like squishy. You know what I mean? There's value in understanding who you are. And, we did a podcast about this last year about identity and like where to find it. Rule number one, like you go to the creator. Like you think about your phone. That was the example that we used. Like you've got your phone and it comes with an operating system. And if there's something wrong with your phone, where do you go? Well, you might go to Google. But you will go to the operating system. You will find out from the person or the entity that made that thing, how is this supposed to work? You will go to support with Apple or support with Android, whatever it is, and you will figure out why this isn't working. Same thing with yourself. If you want to know who you are in here, in your heart, if you want to know who you are on the inside so you can live a life that is authentic to yourself, you have to go to the creator. You have to go to the one that made you. You have to go to God. He's the one that's working with the full deck. He made you. He formed you in the womb. He made you fearfully and wonderfully, and he has a plan for you. And because he made the plan for you and because he made you, guess what? You automatically fit into the plan. Gosh, how many times do we hold ourselves back from something because we think, oh, well, that's not me. I'm not cut out for that. Or, oh gosh, man, that's a big, beautiful dream that I have. It might even be something that God has told you, you're going to do this. This is what I have for you. And you rule yourself out because you haven't figured out that if he's calling you to it, he's prepared you for it as well. Man, I've had this conversation with myself constantly about the things that I want to do with my life this year and in general. I mean, I do believe that he called me back to this podcast, as I told you, but I also think that he, called me to write a book. That's something that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to write both a fiction and a nonfiction. But somewhere along the way, I told myself like, oh no, other people write books. You're not a writer. No, if God told me you're going to write a book, guess what? He made me so I could write a book. You know what I mean? So start there. And if you're not there, if you're not in a position where you're like, maybe you're not a believer, I pray that this is the year that you find Jesus. Maybe you are, borderline. Maybe you've had some experiences that have caused some doubts, whatever it is. I would still encourage you to seek your identity from him because he made you, because he designed you and he knows exactly what he has for you. And he has plans that are good for us, plans that will prosper us, plans that will give us a future and a hope. But I think that there are some other ways that we can kind of figure out who we are. Setting goals for yourself for this year is not where we're going to start. Yeah, it's just like until you get this right, until you understand who you are, you're not going to be successful. Just going to throw it out there. You can take it or leave it. But I think maybe a good place to start is being open to who you've been created to be. Sometimes I think that because of social media and because we just get like a front row seat to so many people's lives, we think that that's how we should be living. And if they have fame and they have money and they have success and they've got followers and everything, if we don't look like them, talk like them, act like them, do what they do, like what they do, buy their products, then there's something wrong with us. It's tough to not compare yourself in 2025, now 2026. But I want to remind you, this is something that God told me last week. You is the perfect person for you to be. Plain and simple. Jess is the perfect person for me to be because that's who I am. That's who I was made to be. So we feel like if we're not somebody else, then there's something wrong with us. So we don't want to find out who we are because it might be disappointing to us. But authenticity and living life based on who you've been made to be, what better way to live? If you go through your entire life trying to be somebody that you're not, trying to do things that were never meant for you, you're just going to be left empty and frustrated. And I want you to get to the end of your life and feel like, man, I'm so full. I'm so overjoyed. I'm so humbled. I'm so thrilled. And yeah, there were hard times, but I lived my life the way that Jesus designed it for me. I mean, what better way to wrap up your time on this earth, right? To know that everything that you were made to be and everything that you were made and meant to do, you did it. That to me gets me super jazzed and super excited. Everything else is just gravy, right? I think when God formed us, when God made you in the womb, when he made me in the womb, I know this because scripture tells us this. He called us a masterpiece. Like, do you know that God calls you a masterpiece? Isn't that crazy? Like, when I think of masterpieces, I think of like behind bulletproof glass in the Smithsonian or in the Louvre, or like I think of priceless pieces of art that like you just behold them and it's like, whoa, that's a masterpiece. I think of beautiful landscapes that we see, whether it's a beach or a mountain or a sunset or a creek or a river or the ocean or whatever, like a masterpiece, something that you can't help but just be in awe of. That is how God looks at you. That is how God made you. You are his masterpiece. You are his handiwork. He looks at you and he is delighted in you. I get emotional saying this because he told me this in therapy. Oh my gosh, the God of the universe delights in me? That's beautiful. Why in the world would I ever want to be anybody else than what he made? Like, why would I try so hard to fit into another mold when he made me and said, this is good. I made something beautiful. I find myself more and more with people around me telling them, when you look in the mirror, you need to start seeing yourself the way that God sees you. I want to encourage you to do the same. So maybe this week, that's where you start, Maybe you look at yourself in the mirror and you just try to see what God has intended. You try to see what God has made. You try to see the beauty of it. Strip away the titles that have been put on you, the stereotypes that have been put on you. Put aside the things that you've put on. I think when we talked about identity the last time, it was like we talked about putting on this coat. Like, this coat becomes our identity because it's everything that has been spoken over us, said about us, said to us, everything that we've been influenced and pushed to believe about ourselves. And like, it's heavy, and we want to take that coat off. We want to leave it. We want to shed it. We want to get it off of us so that way we can see ourselves. We can see what God has made us to be. I want to encourage you to start off your year with that. Start off your year looking in the mirror and saying, who am I, God? Who did you make me to be? What did you put in me? There's actually something that I wrote. I did the scribble where it's like, who am I? Like, I am this, I am that, blah, 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 blah. And like, you don't think about it, you just write it. And one of the things that I wrote, and I went back and I was like, that's pretty profound, Jessica. I wrote, God has put something beautiful inside of me and I want to let it out. I want to share it, and that was just like a beautiful nugget, that was not something that I was looking for. And I think oftentimes a lot of us, we know who we are. We just hide it. We know that there's good things about us, but somewhere along the way, somebody told us that it wasn't good enough, or that it was wrong, or childish, or I don't know. Again, God made you and made you into a beautiful masterpiece. So this week, if I were to give you homework, throw out the resolutions and let's start from square one. Let's really get to know ourselves deeply and intimately. I want you to spend time with yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror. I'll be honest with you, there was a lot of my life that I did not look in the mirror because I didn't think that I was good enough, beautiful enough. I thought my nose was too big. I thought, my forehead was too big. I was too fat, too this, too that, blah, 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 blah. And so I just didn't really pay attention to myself in the mirror because I was uncomfortable with me. No more. Spend time looking in the mirror, okay? Figure out, ask, and seek guidance as to who you are. Accept that person, love that person, okay? Hold on to that person because you're going to be spending the rest of your life with that person. But also, take notes on, it can be mental notes. You can actually write stuff down if you're like studying yourself. Like that's kind of my goal for you this week, is to study yourself and do it with an open ear, an open eye, an open heart. Take notes on what lights you up. Take notes on what gets you excited. Take notes on, go through your day to day and take notes on what brings you joy and what brings you peace and what brings you comfort, and take notes on things that, that upset you, and pay attention to why it upsets you. Take notes on what triggers you and what sends you over the edge, what hurts your feelings, what feels heavy. Really study yourself, really study you. Because again, if we're going to do anything with this year, we have got to be our authentic selves. There's the saying of like, God doesn't bless who you pretend to be. He pretends who you are and who he made you to be. I think the same is to be said for, goals and dreams and success and accomplishments. Like, it means so much more when it's you. It means so much more, and it has more longevity when it's you, like when it's you showing up as your authentic self. You're not hiding behind a mask. I think the more that you understand how you operate, what makes you tick, who you are authentically, like the more successful you're going to be, not just this year, but in life. So again, be your best friend, be your older sibling, be your mom, whoever you need to be to get to know you, be that person. I think we've all got somebody in our life where we know we can just take off the mask, let our guard down, and be our authentic selves with, and they love us. Be that person for yourself as well. I think that's going to be incredibly important if we're trying to do anything in 2026. Last year, like I said, was not a year that I expected. It was probably the most hands-off I have ever gone through a year, where it was like, I'm not going to white knuckle my way through every single day. I'm not going to allow myself to be anxious about everything. I'm not going to allow myself to be, hold myself back from things because I've decided in my head that, oh, other people do that. Other people ask for that. I need to be agreeable. I can't rock the boat. It was also the most fun that I had, just being curious about things and wanting to try things and wanting to ask questions that maybe, ask people questions that might be a little personal with no pressure. Don't have to answer, whatever. I'm just genuinely curious about this, and I don't have it all figured out, and I am learning. And like I said, it was such an interesting year for me, because it was almost like I didn't pigeonhole myself in a lot of ways. And it's exciting. If you follow me on Instagram at Miss Radio Jess, my 2025 recap was just filled with such gratitude for last year, because I feel like it's the year that brought me back to Jess. I don't know if I've ever really known Jess on such a deep level. But also I definitely don't think that I have known her for a good couple of years. And I remember telling my husband this, we were out to dinner in December, and I said, I feel the most like me than I have in a long time. And I think when you get to that point where you feel like you understand you love you, not in a selfish, conceited, like, oh, I'm the greatest, blah, 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 but like a genuine, like, hey, I'm a good person, and I do love myself, and I do love that, like, I snort when I laugh, or, that I sleep with my mouth open, or whatever it is, like, you love yourself, even the flaws that you have. I feel like when you get to that level with yourself, not only are you more capable of things in life, but like, you're more open and you're more loving and you receive more love from other people. But also, like, when you find that part of you, it's like really hard for you to be anxious. It's really hard for you to be fearful and walk through life with this feeling of timidity, like it, in a way, like just tapping into who you are, like you're just who you are. That authenticity takes away a lot of the the questions and the uncertainty, which leads to the anxiety and the fear. There's a level of confidence that comes with authenticity and humility as well, with getting to know who the heck you are. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but I do want to, I just want to leave you with this. Like, don't you dare buy anything, sign up for anything, get yourself so involved with anything that you can't get out of it as far as resolutions go. And I'm telling you, this is not easy. You open up social media, that is all you're seeing right now is the gym memberships and the miracle pills and the retreats and the conferences that are going to change your life, or the planners that are going to change your life, whatever it is. Like, that is everywhere. It's not going to be easy to stay away from that stuff. And you're probably thinking, no, Jess, you're wrong. Because if I'd sign up for the gym membership now, I'm going to save money. Have you seen the deals that they have? Have you seen the discounted prices that they're offering just through January? I have to sign up for this stuff. But I'm going to tell you right now, you will save yourself so much money, pain, anguish, and regret if you just wait. If you just give yourself a moment to build that foundation. Because if you do the gym membership again, and you don't do this work on yourself, you don't get to know you, guess what? It's going to be June and you will have been to the gym twice. And it was the first 2 weeks in January. You know, you'll find yourself just hitting the same wall over and over and over again because you're not being true to you. You're not understanding how you tick, how you operate, how you're going to be successful. So please spend some time with yourself this week. Get to know you. You know, if you need to vision board yourself, vision board yourself. If you're super creative and you want to paint yourself or draw yourself or whatever, do that, please. If you need to just take notes on yourself, if you need to just stare at yourself in the mirror and maybe take a whiteboard marker and like write on the mirror who you are, like do that. Just figure out who the heck you are before you try to do anything this year. Okay? So spend some time with yourself this week. Spend some time with Jesus this week. Ask him to reveal who you are and who he's made you to be and what his vision of you is. Ask him to show you how to see yourself the way that he sees you. Ask him to show you how to love yourself the way that he loves you. I think this is going to be so beneficial for us as we move through the year. It's a different way to start the year, but gosh, I think it's going to be the most meaningful for us. And think about it, like this is one of the hardest times of the year to start new things. Although it's a new year and everybody's new year, new me, do all the things, resolutions, goals, boss babe, everything like that. This is the hardest time because like we're coming off of an incredibly overstimulated season into a time of year where like nobody's really doing anything. Like work, we're kind of like, oh, I'll ease back into it. And it's cold and it's dark outside and seasonal affective disorder is a thing. Like it is hard to tap into new year, new me in the new year. Okay. This is one of the reasons why I tell people like, just start in the spring when it's prettier outside, when it's warmer outside. But yeah, this should be a time that we are a little more inner focused, a little more perspective. Again, another word. I don't know. Maybe that's a part of me I haven't discovered yet, that I want to use big words. I just don't always know how to say them or what they mean. Make it a good week for yourself. If you discover something wonderful about yourself that you want to share, of course, I want to hear from you. I'm on social media at Miss Radio Jess, MISS Radio Jess. I would love to hear from you. Thank you for kicking off the year with me, and we'll chat again next week.